Okay, so everybody's sure that they're in the right workshop? Media Evangelism Academy? Nobody has forced you to come here? Good. My name is Mike. The last name I spare you. But as you can see, it is a bit difficult, and it's a Slavic background. My parents are from Serbia, but I was born in Austria, in Vienna. A little bit to my person. Also, maybe just before that, as you can hear my throat, I'm kind of losing my voice. So let's hope that it will last through the workshop. Yes, a little bit to my person. I was born in Vienna. I went to study theology in Newbold College, where I did my theology studies. And then during my theology studies, I decided that my old passion from the youth I would like to continue again, which was media work. And I would like to find a way to combine those two, media and theology. So I went to University of Kingston, where I studied and did my master's in media practice. I met my wife also at Newbold, and then she's from Finland, and we went to Finland to live there. I was working as a youth pastor there, and at the same time teaching media at the high school, the Adventist high school, Toivolinna. Maybe some of you have heard of it or even met it, were there. It's a really nice place at the seaside. If you ever have a chance to go there, I can only suggest to go there. It's really beautiful. Maybe not in winter, because there it's -20. So summer is a good time. After Finland, we went to Lebanon, to Beirut, where I was teaching media again at the Adventist University, the Middle East University. And unfortunately, we didn't stay too long there because of some medical issues. And then we left and went back to Finland. And then I found a job at Stimme der Hoffnung, the media center of Europe. And I'm working there at the International Bible Study Institute, where I'm 50% in charge of the children and young adults Bible correspondence. And the other 50% is being in charge for the Media Evangelism Academy that we have started only this year. Before we dig in, the workshop, I kind of thought of splitting it in two parts. One is kind of like a theoretical, historical approach, where we just see, should we use media, and what are the backgrounds of it? Can we learn something from history? Because I think we as people are who we are because of the history. I mean, whatever happened in our life has made us to the person we are today, and I think this goes also for media work. Take a look in the past to see what can we learn from it for the future. And then the second part is where we just dig into the Media Evangelism Academy, and I show you what we actually are doing with these young people. Two of them are now here, who are part of it, and we will just talk a little bit of that. So, historical overview. What do you think was the first media tool? Well, I just showed it now, so yes. Print. Print was the first media tool. The second one? What do you think? Radio, exactly. Is it a bit unsharp, or is it just me? Is it better? Okay. Radio, exactly. And the third? TV. And then? Internet, exactly. So these are the four, historically seen, the four big media tools that we had. Starting with print, radio, TV, and then the internet. What just happened? Okay. Projector just decided to go a little bit offline. So let's take a look a little bit at print. Doesn't like me, huh?
Moment, es gab hier einen Beamer, der hat nicht so gut funktioniert, deshalb hat man den aus dem Nebenraum geholt. Ich weiß nur nicht, welcher das jetzt ist.
Okay.
Weil es gab hier einen Beamer, der immer gesponnen hat.
Yeah, okay, let's try something else. Maybe let's just try to go with a different cable. I mean, luckily, I do know a little bit of technical things, so we can just try to find another solution. Maybe it doesn't like HDMI. Because I do remember having done it with worst case, do you have the keys to the other room? No, okay. So if we have well, let's see if this works. Okay. So far so good. Let's see. So print. It all started with the Gutenberg press. 1439. The first printed object. What do you think was it? A Bible. Isn't it quite interesting? The first thing to be printed, the first book, was a Christian book, the Bible. So already a very close connection between media and Christianity. The Bible was the first book. It was actually the primary tool of our pioneers, and our pioneers established also a printing organization in the Adventist Church, and that was done in 1874. Anybody knows when the Adventist Church was founded? 1863. So only 11 years later we had a printing press, a printing office.
But they closed.
It did close afterwards, but since then we still have official printing organizations within the Adventist Church. The interesting thing is, for the first time, people had a book in their hand or a pamphlet, and they were able to still get along with the meeting that was happening. So, meaning that if they missed out a meeting, they didn't have voice recordings as we have now. Somebody was in there writing it down, and then they printed it out and gave it out to the people. So for the first time, people were able to still get the information that they have missed from meetings. Before that, you didn't have any possibilities. Either you were there and you were listening, or you just heard what people said to you. But at the same time, it also generated the possibility for research and discussions. Because now I had a physical book in my hand, or a physical paper of what was said. People were able to read it, to discuss it, to go through it with their friends or with other great minds. And we were able to have huge development also in theology because of this, in our theological understanding. And at the same time, it was also it created also a feeling of unity. Everybody who was sitting in the congregation felt, just by the fact that they had a book in their hand that was for all the same, felt a sense of belonging together. The book was the Bible, obviously. So they had one book, and just by the fact that one would say, now let's all open up Matthew chapter 7, everybody opens up Matthew chapter 7. And you have automatically a feeling of, hey, that person seems to belong together to the same group as me, because we're doing the same thing. It's still being used today, even though some people think that, printing is not really in anymore. It's true, it has lost appeal, but it's still being used. I think some of you had just some paper where they were writing something on. It's still being used. And actually, all of you have even a printing press at home. It's just a smaller version of it. It's called a printer. But obviously there were also problems with it. If I write a book that is Christian perspective on something, who do you think would read it? Anybody? If I write a book about a Christian topic, who would read it? A Christian. Exactly. So automatically my target group is very narrowed down, only to people who are actually interested in that topic. You would hardly find somebody who is not interested in Christian issues who would read that book. Sometimes you might find an atheist because he wants to find better arguments, but generally speaking, only Christian would read it. But then there is another a problem with it, a very obvious, or maybe let's say sometimes for us not so obvious, but it is actually the biggest problem of the print. When I give you a book, what do you do with it? You put it in your shelf. Okay, fine. Then that problem doesn't exist for you. But for the other ones, you have to know how to read. Exactly. So if you are not educated in reading, the book is not helping. If we compare it now, for example, to a more modern technology like TV, video, I don't need to be able to read, because I can see and I can hear. Well, obviously, if I'm blind, I need different aids. Or if I'm deaf, then I need also different aids to see, to get the message across. But for a normal person, visual and audio is enough. I don't need to read. And back then, also very expensive. Back then, the printing press was not something that everybody could afford. It was hugely expensive, needed a huge investment, and also a continuous cost. So printing is not one of the cheapest things. And that's why a lot of Christian denominations have not even started their own printing industry. But they have just outsourced it, asked other people to print it for them. It's actually only a few who have their own printing organization. After printing came radio. The first radio transmission was in 1919. Actually, quite an interesting date for in regards of Adventist history. The first Christian radio transmission was 1921, so only 2 years later. What do you think was the first Adventist transmission? 50s. 50s? 1929. Okay? So only 10 years after the introduction of the radio. 10 years later, the Adventist Church already took on that technology and built Voice of Prophecy and AWR, and we still have them to this day. AWR being the main radio producer for us. Do you have a question?
No, as far as I know, the first radio transmission was from Luke chapter 2.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure, but as far as I know.
Now that would be interesting. You mean the first Christian radio or the first?
No, 1919.
1919. Okay. Because in my research I found out that the first Christian radio, maybe that was like a radio program or from a radio studio, was 21. But that would be interesting to find out. And also, back then, quite expensive. The trend in the beginning was that everybody would have their own radio studio and the radio tower. Obviously, that needs a lot of investment. You need a property, you need a house, you need a radio antenna, you need a studio, and then you need people who are working it. The more popular radio became, and the less frequencies were available, the more people had to go to the resource of buying radio time in other radio stations. Still very expensive, because they said, well, if you're buying the time from us, then you have to pay properly, because we had huge investment before. So radio, also again, very expensive, and more expensive than print. And then we had TV. Anybody knows when the first TV transmission was? Or any guesses? 60s? 19 1929
Wow.
was the first TV transmission in Europe. It was done by the BBC over the radio frequencies. And I think it's quite interesting that radio and TV are not so far apart from each other in sense of transmission time. In sense of inventing, it was invented in 1926. So only 7 years after radio was invented, 1919, the first radio transmission. So they are quite similar to each other. But TV was more expensive, way more expensive. And it took a long time before the TV set found its place in the homes of the people. Because it was a huge investment also from the consumer side. Radio was way more cheaper. What do you think, what was the first time that TV was used for evangelism? Well, the first use for evangelism was in the 1950s. So very, very late in comparison now to radio, where only 2 years later it was already used for Christian purposes. And there's a reason for that. First of all, the most prominent tele-evangelist, or televangelist as they are called, was Billy Graham. But he was already a very successful radio transmitter. And but there were some issues with that, because the change from radio to TV was not as easy as it sounds. A lot of evangelists who changed from the radio medium to the TV medium were not successful. It was only a handful who managed a good transition. What do you think was the reason for that? Why would you not be successful in TV when you're already successful in radio? Any ideas? No? Well, radio, what do? You listen. In TV, you're also watching. So people who were good with radio, good with oral presentation, doesn't mean that they were good also in visual presentation. So, because nobody wants just to have a person standing up there, even though he can speak very good and very well, but he's not moving at all. It's not really appealing. The problem with this was that with time, the evangelistic campaigns were more focusing on the presentation style, because they saw that, oh, you need to change your presentation style to be successful. So they started putting more emphasis on that than on theological issues or theological topics. And the biggest problem of TV, cost. I mean, if print was already expensive and radio was already expensive, TV was quadrupling those costs, at least. What do you think was the first official Adventist TV institution made? Any ideas? And I'm meaning official Adventist. Not private. Free ABN was private. Mm-hmm. The first official Adventist channel, Hope Channel, was founded in 2003. So if you compare this now to the radio, where it took us only 10 years to adapt it, it took us a lot longer to adapt TV as our own channel and to produce TV productions. A lot of Christian denominations were praising the TV, and they thought that this is a really good tool. Some even went so far to say that this is a gift of God. Now, would we say today that it's a gift of God? I don't know. After it came the internet, another big platform for the media. And internet started in 1982. So only 1 year after I was born, it started. And I was right in the midst of the whole internet generation. But it started already a little bit before that. In the 1950s and 60s, people were already experimenting with connecting computers together, networking. You had a terminal and you had a mainframe. So that was the first steps in connection, building connection between different devices. But then it developed further and further, and in 1982, Internet was launched as an open platform. But only in 1995, it was launched for the rest of the world. So only in 95, people were able to really have access to it. That suddenly providers started turning up. The universities were giving out the IP addresses, and so on and so on. The first Christian appearance on the internet, what do you think? How long did it take?
96.
That's actually quite good.
Really?
95, 96. So almost in the same year when the internet was commercialized, or around that time, maybe 1 to 1.5 years, it took only for the first Christian website to appear. We cannot unfortunately pinpoint it correctly at what time it popped up, because as you know, internet is very anonymous, and nobody can really track the dates and see, okay, when was it published, because people are not updating their dates on the website and so on. I mean, I found a website where it says down there, last update 2002, and then you're wondering, is that even still valid as a website? I mean, nobody has touched it. We have now 2015. Nobody has looked at that website anymore. So it's really difficult to pinpoint when was something launched, but approximately 95, 96, the first Christian content popped up on the internet. The Christian movement prioritized the internet and said, this is a really good tool. It is really important and we should be much, much more on it. And they started prioritizing it even over TV, radio and print. But there was one major task for those new web evangelists, those who changed from TV to internet. And the problem that they were facing was the rising of postmodernism. Postmodernism has a completely different approach to life, and which was very challenging for the web evangelist to bring over their content in a way that even postmodern people would still be able to get something out of it. And they had to carefully implement non-threatening language, because they saw, if they are talking about doom or destruction or these kind of things, as you have maybe heard in old sermons on TV, where if you don't repent, then you will be destroyed, things like that, that didn't work on the internet. Because postmodern mind said, what are you telling? And switching to the next thing, going to another website. They didn't believe in absolute truths. We still don't believe in absolute truths, because we are still in postmodernism, although some people claim that we are in the postmodernism. So they had to adapt to that, and those people who were the easiest adapting to the new technology were also the most successful ones. But the Christian community kind of also had a silent agreement on dealing with each other, because they said internet is a huge playground, as they called it, and said that we are all benefiting from it, and it would be counterproductive if we are starting to bash each other. If we are starting to put each other down and say, oh, the Pentecostals, or the Catholics, or the evangelists, the Protestants, and so on. So it would be a bad thing if we start talking like that on the internet. Well, some denominations kept more to it and others less. But the internet was definitely considered the greatest mission fields in history. It has the biggest potential. And if we think about it, the printing press had huge potential. It had the potential, theoretically, with one book to reach everybody on this planet. I mean, yes, you had to print out the new versions in a different language and so on, but theoretically, if you would print enough books, you could reach everybody on this planet. Radio made it much easier to reach the whole planet. You just had radio transmission and you needed a radio receiver. practically, it didn't work out completely with the radio transmission that you reach the whole world. TV, theoretically, made it possible to reach the whole world. But practically also a bit difficult. The internet, however, made it theoretically possible to reach everybody and also practically. Because if I would now take my phone and tweet here from the Pulsemid in Schwäbisch Gmünd, a person in the outback of Australia, as long as he has internet obviously, but the possibility for that is very big and very high, could read my tweet. So internet really started connecting the whole planet into one big web. What are today's trends?
Sorry?
Yes?
You talk about the costs.
Mm-hmm.
Costs for print, costs for radio, TV. How are the costs for internet?
Well, if you compare it to those three main ones, internet costs went completely down. I mean, it's a fracture of what a printing press would cost. Now, it all depends on what you want to produce, what you want to do. But if you think about it, I lived as I said, in Finland, and in Finland it costed me mobile internet 50 cents a day, 50 euro cents a day for unlimited internet. So theoretically, I could have had my laptop with my mobile phone connected, and I could have had a server or a live stream. And not only theoretically, I actually did it practically because I had no other possibilities. And I was doing a live stream of a sermon over my mobile phone from my laptop, and sharing it to everybody who wanted it. So what was the cost? 50 cents for the internet. Then whatever the phone would cost me to get connected, then the laptop and the camera. Now, obviously, you can get a camera for 200 euros or you can get a camera for 50,000. So it depends on what do you want to produce. Do you want to produce Hollywood movies? Well, then you need a big, super expensive camera. Do you want to just record a sermon? And in today's time, people are putting their cameras on their helmets and going with the bikes, which is called the GoPro. And that costs 250 euros. And you could theoretically even use that just for a sermon to record. So the costs are a bit variable, but in general, to start a ministry, a media ministry, way less than anything that was coming before. I mean, streaming, yes, some people might say, well, you need servers and you need this and that. But there are so many services out there that offer you free live stream or just free web space where you can upload your videos and then people can watch it. YouTube. I don't have to pay one dime to be on YouTube. I don't have to pay 1 cent to be on Vimeo. I can if I want to on Vimeo, but I don't have to. So the cost is not an argument anymore for internet. For sure not. So today's trends are live stream. Live stream is one of the most growing areas on the internet at the moment. People want to see video, they want to be involved, and they want to see it live, not afterwards. I mean, where are we all from here? We have people from Germany, we have people from Italy,
Yes.
Romania, UK, France, you also Germany. Spain, let's say Spain. Nobody's here from Spain. So one of our young adults leader in Spain would like to be part of the Pulsemid, but he couldn't make it because he has other appointments or he has a family with little kids, he has to be there, whatever the reasons are. If we would have here now a camera built up for live stream, he could be part of the workshop. And this is kind of what society is more and more expecting. So live stream is one of the trends that is rising. Web 2.0. Maybe you have heard it, but don't really know what to do with it. In the beginning of internet, you had only text. That was a website. It was only text. And then slowly, standards have been made so that we can upload pictures. And so we had text and pictures, and then it was booming. People were going and flourishing to the internet and said, oh, now I can present myself, I can write things, and I can pop 1 or 2 pictures and everything is good. But that was not enough. People started to demand more. I want moving pictures. videos or GIFs. I want animation. I want interaction. I want to be in it. I want to be able to play games on the internet. Flash came up. Interactivity. Another important thing was that people at home wanted to be communicating with whoever on the other side. So chat functionality was built in. And all of these technologies that rose up, we put into the term of Web 2.0, because it became a platform where we are integrated, where we are part of the internet and not just consumers, where I'm just seeing pictures and text. Another trend is internet a human right? Well, what do you think? Should we have internet as a human right? Is it a human right, in your opinion? Who is for human right? 2, 3, 4, 5. And who is against it? 1. And the other one, I don't care. Okay. Well, it's actually quite interesting. 2 days ago, Corrado Cozzi showed me a picture of the Maslow pyramid. Some of you might know it, or everybody, the Maslow pyramid. Maslow was this was this psychologist who came up with the pyramid of the needs. And on the bottom you have things like food, health, safety, house, or at least a warm place. And then it continues, and then on the top is the luxury equipments like a mobile phone, a smartphone. I mean, we put a lot of emphasis on the top, but yeah, anyway, we need food, otherwise we starve. So this picture of Corrado showed us the Maslow pyramid, and somebody has drawn a new layer under the food and safety and so on. And in that layer, it was written Wi-Fi. And maybe some of you think, well, Wi-Fi, that's not true. It's not one of our basic needs. I was here at the registration at the beginning of the Pulse Meet. The first thing that people asked when they came in, oh, do you have internet? Can I have a Wi-Fi key? It was not, oh, where do I get food? Where's the toilet? No, the first thing, do you have a Wi-Fi key? I need internet. What's your second question? You did. You see? In Finland, there was also a huge discussion about it. And politicians also think that, oh, it should become a human right. And one politician, Laura Vilkonen, she is in charge for the Ministry of Transportation and Communications in Finland. She stated in 2009, not 2015, 2009, okay? She said, we think it's something you cannot live without in modern society. Like banking services or water or electricity, you need an internet connection. And they went so far that they established a law as the only and first country in the world to have a law that every citizen of Finland has the right to have a 1 megabit internet connection. So if I'm going to an internet provider and say, I want internet, and he's not able to provide me at least 1 megabit, I can go to court and sue him. I have the legal right to have internet connection. And it goes so far that even the United Nations is considering a human right definition. So generally, the internet connection is regarded more important than TV or radio, or even food and water. Have you ever wondered, in technological terms, what would happen within 1 minute, technologically speaking? If we take now 0 and then 60 seconds later, what would have happened in these 60 seconds? Have you ever wondered about this? I guess not, otherwise you wouldn't look at me like that. So let me show you, some people have wondered what would happen within 60 seconds. And this was in the year of 2011. So an average 60 seconds encompassed at least 600 new YouTube videos in 60 seconds. not in a day, in 60 seconds, 600 new YouTube videos. In 60 seconds, 70 plus domain registered. So addresses that you would type in to get to bibelkurse.de, for example. 168 million emails sent. 168 emails. Almost 700,000 Google searches. I mean, what is the first thing that people do nowadays when they don't know about a certain topic? Or when they ask you, hey, how does this and this and this work? What is the response usually? Google it. 700,000 Google searches within 1 minute. 700,000 Facebook status updates within 1 minute. What else? 370,000 plus minutes of Skype conversation. No wonder that the companies are complaining, the telecommunications companies are complaining that we are not making as much profit anymore. 12,000 new ads posted on Craigslist. A little bit closer to our time, 2013. I'm a bit worried about this. 232 computers infected by malware in 1 minute. And I'm 100% sure that number is rising. 38 tons of electronic waste was produced in this 1 minute that we just talked. 4,000 USB devices sold. Well, 1,100 acres of land in Farmville was worked on. Look at this. $10,000 paid over mobile payments. $10,000. And on total payments, electronic payments, 219,000. And I'm also a bit worried about this here, because it's also something that our church will be more and more confronted with. 2 million internet users watched porn online just in 1 minute. And then I think this is here from 2014, and this is focusing mainly on the internet now, so just websites, what's happening. And we can see definitely an increase if we look, for example, at, where was it? Facebook, 1.8 million likes, just in 60 seconds. 1.8 million people clicked now like, I like it, I like it, I like it. Or, I saw this, there was something emails here. What was the number before? Something about 120 million emails? Now we are at 204 million emails sent within 60 seconds. And probably now in 2015 even more. 571 new websites created. $83,000 sold on Amazon sales. We had that just on electronic payments just before, and now on goods. Twitter, 278,000 tweets. And I'm sure Billy was one of those. He likes to tweet. You already talked about it a bit, about cost. You asked the question, how much does internet cost? And actually, one of the biggest obstacle in evangelism was always cost. And especially in today's time. Everything is being evaluated. How much does that cost? How much does it cost? So the cost is always number one obstacle, number one problem of continuing with technology. But let me show you this quote here. The press is a powerful means to move the minds and hearts of the people. The man of this world sees the press and makes the most of every opportunity to get poisonous literature before the people. If men, under the influence of the spirit of the world and of Satan, are earnest to circulate books, tracts, and papers of a corrupting nature, you should be more earnest to get reading matter of an elevating and saving character before the people. Who do you think has said this? Yep. Quite interesting, huh? One of our founding persons of the Adventist Church, she is clearly recognizing the evil that is being done with the print back then. She didn't experience radio and TV yet, but she has seen the evil that has been done with print. And still, she said, you should be more earnest. You should be more involved in it. You should make even more sure that good material is coming out. Uplifting value. Because we have good news to share, don't we? I hope we do. As Christians, we have good news. And we should do that. And we should not think only because the tool is being used for negatives that I can't use it for good either.
We should be good in it too. Sometimes all things we put out, it's like, what's this? Yeah, it's we have good things to say.
Yeah.
And we're not stupid.
Yeah.
We are artists too.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. You had also a question? No, okay. So media in the gospel. Media in its core is narrative. Media likes to tell stories, which kind of fits with the Bible, doesn't it? Because the Bible likes to tell stories. So you have already here, in its core, a connection between media and the Bible. Because both like to tell a story. Both are narrative. So some people, some Christians, believe that it is not a question of whether we should use media as a tool, but rather which forms of communication, which forms of the media tools should we use for the gospel, and how. And there are many ways to utilize media in churches. And one of the things was, for example, media as arts. So some churches or individuals have used media to express creatively their connection with God. For example, by fine arts or pop arts, which can result then in beautiful 3D animations or YouTube videos, or many other ways of expressing one's creativity. But you know, the interesting point is that in the development of these creative tools, which group was the most active? It was the teenagers and the tween ages. They are the most active in utilizing media as an art. The next point is media as information. So this is things like you can see on news, or you can transmit Bible knowledge. Sermon, you're recording a sermon, you're putting it on the internet, so you're sending out information. Yeah, I'm sure you all know the what was it called on Hope Channel? There's a news section. I forgot now the name, but it's like pardon? No. It's ANN, Adventist News Network. Okay. ANN. So there you have, I think, 2-3 minutes video clip you can go to and watch it, and they're just telling you about the news. I think within a week, or what's happening in the Christian world, or mainly focusing on the Adventist Church. So this is media as an information tool. But there's one big problem with that, and the problem is that this approach is not always very successful with postmodern mind, because the postmodern mind says there are no absolute truths. And now I'm here presenting truths. And that's not compatible. The third one is media as mission. where people used media as a mission instrument, which meant they saw the surrounding culture, they saw in what culture they are in, and then tried to missionize to that culture, producing media, whatever they were, videos or pictures or clips or whatever, towards the culture that they are in. But there's also one big problem with that. The problem is that you are presenting a picture on the internet that does not necessarily reflect the truth of the church. Meaning, and I'm sure you have things like this have happened to you, that people would look on the internet, would look at a service or something, and they would see like, oh, this looks like a cool place, or they look like really nice people. Then they say, oh, who made this? Oh, it's the Adventist. Well, they look it up, where's the next Adventist church, and then they come there and then they're shocked. And then they're shocked and say, well, this is not what I saw on TV. This is not what I have experienced. This is completely different. So using media as mission only is also problematic. Another quote I would like to share with you. Media tools make it possible to provide spirituality to the general public, not merely information or entertainment. And hence, Christian media work should primarily communicate spiritual awareness. So people have thought about this, and they have said, well, we need to come up with a new approach. And this new approach they call the cultural language approach. So media is being used as an information tool, media is being used as a mission tool, media is being used as an arts tool. And there is some good in all of this. So they said we need to take out the goods of all these three approaches and put it together into a new one. And they came up with this and said, we need to be aware of cultural settings. There is no point in doing media work if you are not knowing what's going on around you. But we also need to be able to set the church as part of the culture. The church needs to be part of it. Otherwise, we have the problem that we're presenting one thing and they're seeing something else. And the third thing is, because the core of Christianity is to transform, is to change, so we need to change the culture, we need to influence the culture, we need to transform the culture and not just copy it. And all too often we see that we think, oh, we need to, young people of today's time, they like it hip, they like it cool, we need to be like that too, but we don't manage to transform them to that really matters. We stay stuck in that level of culture that they are in, and we are part of it, and what happens? Well, after some time, people get bored with it and then they leave. And that's actually a phenomenon that we see all too often in those big mega churches that are trying to appeal to a cultural setting, are culturally aware, which is good, but they are staying still on that level. They are not transforming. They are not pushing you further. So the cultural language approach says you need to be aware of the culture. The church, the local church, the one that is behind your media work, needs to be part of the culture, but not stuck in it. It needs to transform and not just copy. Because how do we do that? Well, you think global, but you act local. And this means that even though the goal of media evangelism is to reach out, it still needs to deal with local issues, challenges, and needs. You can't stay stuck in your world, what you think is the right thing for the media to do. You can't just say, we would like to do something, we are showing sermons and or whatever, but you are not dealing with the local issues of your area. Otherwise, you're not becoming relevant. Because as much as we like to be reachable by the person in the outback in Australia, we need to first be reachable for our local area around us. We need to deal with those issues. Jesus was a storyteller, which would make him, in today's time, a natural communicator. And his followers, which is us, need also to embrace this technique and tell his story. So yes, media is very narrative. And it is very good fitting and very well fitting to the Bible. We who are using media, we need to find a way that we are telling his story. As Japhet said, Christ-centered. He has started to do all his sermons as Christ-centered. There is always Jesus in the middle. And I think if we are calling ourselves Christian, then that should be definitely also our center. So we analyzed all of this, and we thought about all of this, and we came up with this Media Evangelism Academy. Because in my experience, in my personal experience, I have found out that if you manage to involve young people in the media work of the church, it will enable them to identify with the church, which in return means they will stay in church. And this goes for anything. Lots of research has shown that if you are giving young people just the smallest of tasks in the church, even if it is just doing the collection, they are starting to identify with that church. And then in return, they say, I like this. This is my church. This is part of me, of who I am. And then they stay in church. Actually, it is fairly simple. We need to involve them. We need to give them a purpose, that they have identification with the church. And I found out that media work is one of the easiest and best tools to do that. Because at the end of the day, if you go back to your churches and you just ask any young person, he is probably already neck deep in media. And you probably don't even know it. So what is Media Evangelism Academy? In Media Evangelism Academy, we as Stimme der Hoffnung, the media center, we are cooperating with the 1 Year for Jesus program of the youth, the local youth in Germany. And we have 2 representatives here who are very proud of their 1 Year for Jesus jackets.
Of course. Of course.
So we are cooperating with them, and 1 Year for Jesus has 2 places in Germany. One is in Herne and one is in Darmstadt. And the Darmstadt is the closest to us, to the media center. So they are at the moment coming once a week to us to get theoretical training, practical training, and together with them we are working on projects. At the beginning of their 1 Year for Jesus time, which was starting in September, I think, right? I think just a week after that you came already to us. Is that correct, or was that the beginning?
2 weeks later.
2 weeks later. So 2 weeks later, after their program already started, they came to the Stimme der Hoffnung building, and they received training, theoretical training for 1 week, where we were looking at different areas. We were looking at social media, at websites, of how to be productive. We invited professionals who have lots of experience in it, and they were showing them and teaching them. Because even though we are a media center, we don't do everything. We do certain part of the media work. And for example, we found out that you could actually have a doctorate in utilizing keywords in the media work. So of how you position keywords to find to be able to be found over Google or Facebook or whatever, you can make a doctorate in that, because there's a lot of psychology in it, a lot of research gone into this. So here just some of the pictures of how our young people were involved. Here, for example, we see also where they were practically involved. We had 1 day with them where they were producing a video clip. And that video clip was not just, a video clip just for fun. No, it was used for their promotion of 1 Year for Jesus, which was then shown at the Youth Congress in Kassel, which was in October?
Yes.
October. So in front of, I think, 1,200 people. And even though they would never agree to this, what I'm saying right now, I know it's true. They enjoyed being in front of the camera. Because part of them is like, ooh, I'm in front of the camera. Oh, is that cool? It's so fun to be in front of the camera, because all your friends will see you on the big screen. And it's a little bit of ego push, which is not necessarily bad. I know you don't agree, officially. Photoshop was also one of the practical things we did on that one day. But we also do projects with them. We do blog, or at least we are in the process of doing a blog. It hasn't happened so far, because we are filtering still out and checking out who of those young people, we have 6 at our disposal at the moment, who of those has a talent or has a knack for writing things. Because you can't do a blog if you're not really good in writing. So it needs to be of good quality. But some other projects we have on our mind were videos. Videos is one of the things that is very, forgive my term now, but it's very sexy to do. It's something that people like. It's very in, very hip. So everybody wants to be part of a video. It's probably because Hollywood has pushed our mind so far that videos are the cool thing to do, that everybody wants to do one. Just look at YouTube. How many people are recording themselves and publishing it on YouTube? It's very popular. Another one is art. So at the moment, our art projects are in photography. So we try to teach them how to take pictures themselves, or utilizing pictures that they find for free on the internet and making something out of it, making a little bit of art out of it. Social media is then our big umbrella. We are very active in social media. The question to all of you, what social media platforms do you know?
Instagram,
FB, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest. Anything else? LinkedIn. Anything else? Snapchat, WhatsApp, Telegram. Nobody mentions Google Plus, but okay.
Google Plus is not
Google what?
not so high
In Germany,
in Germany.
it's not as high, but they do have a lot of people active on it. And let's also not forget that Facebook has 7 years advantage over Google Plus. So that makes also a big difference. But if you think that this is all the social medias that you just mentioned, look at this chart. You think you know all the social media platforms? I bet you don't. I find also this area quite interesting. The gaming area is also considered social media. Steam, probably one of the most important and biggest. All gamers know what I'm talking about right now. It's a social platform, a social media platform. I have interaction. And this is also quite interesting. Kickstarter. Anybody knows Kickstarter? No? You know? Kickstarter is a really interesting platform. I'm trying to think. There is a German version of it that is a bit more popular in Germany, but I forgot the name of it. Kickstarter, Indiegogo, these are platforms where you have an idea, you want to produce a product, a video, a music, a CD, whatever it is, but you don't have the funds for it. You don't have the money. And then you say, well, let's see, maybe people like what I do, or what idea I have, and maybe they want to support me. So you go on Kickstarter, present your product, and then people are saying, oh, I like this, I give you $10. Oh, other people saying, I like that so much that I give you $50, or $100, or $1,000, $5,000, whatever. You can you can donate whatever you want to give. But it goes even further, that you have, after a certain amount of money, I think $10, that's when it starts, that you get something out of it for yourself. With a $1, it's usually like, thank you, that's it. $10, you get maybe a sticker or something like that. Then with $50, you get maybe, if it's a CD, you get, as one of the first customers, the CD. And so on, and so on, and so on. So they are saying, okay, the product that I want to build, I want to make, I need $50,000. Who is interested in supporting me? If you give a certain amount, you might even get the product for it. So kind of you're buying something that doesn't exist yet. But with that money, you're supporting it. So social media is quite big. we are also at the Media Evangelism Academy. We, as I said, we're doing art, or at least we're trying to be also involved in that area. So we have given them the task to produce pictures or find pictures and then alter them, where you put also a Bible text to it. And you all know these pictures. I'm sure you have seen them on the internet. You know, nice, beautiful pictures with a nice Bible text to it. And the reason we are doing this is because we are also wanting our Facebook to be active, our Facebook account. So every day, something like that is being posted, because we want at least one post per day. It's a big task, but if you have the resources, then you can do that. And I think we do have the resources at the moment, especially because of our young people who are there. So we have put that task as our goal and said, we want every day a post. And I just want to show you some of the pictures that our young people have come up with. I just personally like them so much that I just want to share them with you, because I think they are really beautiful, and I think these kids are very creative, and they're using this creativity that they have. And I think some of the pictures you recognize even, because some of you have made them. Is one of yours here?
Yeah, this was the time.
Time, yes. And yours is, I think, the one with the two even. Wow, okay, see. So some of these pictures are being posted every day, and people are watching them and liking them. And it makes them proud as well, because it's something that they have created that other people are valuing and saying, oh, I like this. And I don't know, I mean, you like it if somebody likes your picture, right? Yeah, it is, right? So there's a feedback, immediate feedback also for them. It's not just, oh, I'm producing something and then that's it. No, people see it, people are getting touched by it, and I could only imagine, but I see when people say, when they're commenting, thank you for this beautiful picture, that means probably a lot to you. Because you have been part in someone's journey to, in the Christian journey. Another thing that we are doing is videos, and at the moment we have quite an interesting project that we are working on. We have decided that we want to do some biblical stories as videos, and we thought of taking a Bible story, a Bible passage from a person, and presenting it in the first person, meaning. I would be Peter, and I would be talking into the camera about how the experience was for me when I was cutting off the ear of the servant in the Garden of Gethsemane. Do you know these old documentaries? It's actually even modern documentaries are possible to do that, but I'm saying old because you don't find these people anymore, because they're slowly dying now out, where people are talking about the Second World War. And they sit on a couch chair or a normal chair, and they have a nice setting in the background, and then they're just talking into the camera. Nobody's asking them a question. They're just talking and telling, oh yes, when we landed on Omaha Beach, it was a nightmare. The bullets were flying over our heads, and we were just jumping into the mud. These things. And the same style, I thought that it would be nice to do videos like that from the Bible, from biblical stories. So we asked our young people if they are interested in doing something like that, and they said yes, that would be actually really cool. Because one of the things that I found is really important is that they are from the beginning on part of the thought process. If you're just telling them, I want you to do this and this and that, they might be doing it, and they might even do a good job with it, but it's never their own. So you need to get ownership of the product already from the beginning. So yes, in this case, I gave the idea, could this be something you want to do? And they said, yes, this is good, we want to do it. But I didn't tell them which story. I gave them some ideas of stories, and at the moment we are working on one story, which is, I think, really interesting and really nice, and I'm really looking forward to the finalization of it. We're right in the middle of it. It's the story of the naked disciple. Now, who has heard of the naked disciple? Some are nodding. You have heard? Well, of course, our kids now have heard of it. Anybody else have heard of the naked disciple? No. You have?
It's briefly mentioned in
Gospel of Mark.
Exactly. I think it's like 4 sentences or something like that. And it tells the story of one of the disciples being grabbed by the soldiers who were there to capture Jesus. Or I don't know, it wasn't soldiers, it was just people who took them in. And tells the story that this one disciple was grabbed and he fought it off, and his garments were staying in the hands of the captors. So basically he ran away naked. If his garments are in the hands of the other one, what is the logical conclusion? He's naked. Now, to what extent naked, I don't know, but he is definitely less angezogen. Yes, less clothes, less dressed, exactly. And I said, well, all these Peter stories, all these Paul stories are interesting and good, but everybody knows them. Let's take those no-names, the people that nobody really knows of. And then here Renate, who is now sitting here, she wrote a script of the naked disciple story. So presenting the story from the first person, how would you feel if you would be there and you would be the person? But not only how would you feel about that from your side, but also telling the circumstances of the story. Because if you're talking about that you're running away naked, you obviously have to talk also about Jesus being captured and what goes through your mind when you see your rabbi, your master, the one that you followed for 3.5 years, is being captured in front of your eyes. And I think she did a really wonderful job in writing that script. But it's not stopping there, because we want to have a video. So what we decided to do is to take every step, and they are in charge of it. She wrote the script, so she is the producer. So she makes all the decisions. I'm going to be there and coach her and tell her, well, this is good or this is not so good. But at the end of the day, it's her name under it, not mine. And she has the final decision. Now, obviously, if it's heresies, we will stop it and say, no, we can't continue. But so far, everything is fine and good. Because we need also to be accountable for the work we're doing. I would like to show just some pictures of one of the production days that we had. Because she wrote the script, and the group of Darmstadt has one slight handicap, which is that they have only 2 guys as a choice. Because, it's a story of the naked disciples, and we know that all his disciples, his close disciples, were guys. So you can't really take a girl now. So we need to take a guy, and if we have only 2 at our disposal, then...
Both are good.
Pardon?
But both are good.
But both are good, exactly. It's not a question of good or bad. So we did a casting, meaning that both of them, individually, on separate days doing it, were in front of the camera, where they had the teleprompter, and the text was given to them, and they were speaking the text into the camera. It didn't matter if it's good or bad in sense of a camera perspective. It was just, we wanted to get a feeling of, are they bringing over the emotions that the scriptwriter had? Or do we need to rewrite the script in certain areas? And I think we did find some things where we can maybe work on the definitions of how we get to that point, because it didn't become so clear first. But you need to practice. You need to have a practical example of it. And if you're working with professionals, a production of such a matter would be done in 2 days. But we are not all professionals. And this is a training. We call it also academy, because we want people to learn something, so it takes some time. And I want all of them to go through the process, because this is probably the only time when they have a chance to really go in depth into such a production. And here we see some pictures of...
I hate you. It's like the worst picture you can choose.
No, it's a good one. It's a good one. And here is our second guy who was a potential naked disciple. And we... You don't want to see the video. The next step would be to look at lights. So we will have a little bit also of theory, how lights are in having an impact on the object, but also practically, if you position the light from this perspective, then you get these kinds of shadows. So they are learning in creating also the atmosphere of the video. the next step would be then to go and look for locations. Where do we want to record it? Or do we want to really record it just in front of a white screen? I personally find it's a bit boring, because we are trying to transmit also emotions. We are trying to take people on a journey, on a biblical journey. So I think we should also look for locations. But at the end of the day, whatever they decide will happen. If they say we want a wide screen because we feel that is the best way, they are the young people. They know their target group better than I do, and I will trust their judgment. And that is also important, that you give young people the feeling that their opinion matters, and not just your own because you're the professional. And yes, I did study it and I worked in that area, but at the end of the day, I don't know everything either. And having also the capabilities to admit that, I think, makes a good working relationship between young people and leaders then. Any questions to this? Any questions to our Media Evangelism Academy? You have a question?
Okay, kann ich Deutsch reden und übersetzen?
I can translate, yeah.
Ich habe Theologie abgeschlossen 2011
Mhm.
und dann bin ich ins Praktikum gegangen und habe gemerkt, wie schlecht ich eigentlich bin, was Videobearbeitung angeht, was überhaupt Bildbearbeitung angeht.
Mhm. I was studying theology and I finished my degree in 2011. And then I went into my internship and I just realized how bad I actually am in video editing and picture editing.
Ja.
Mhm.
Und so habe ich dann gesagt, eigentlich müssten wir als Pastoren noch zusätzlich oder im Studium müsste es einen Part geben, wo wir das lernen.
Okay, so I came to the conclusion that we as pastors should actually have a part in our studies where we are learning these kind of tools, where we are learning this, where we're being equipped with these things.
Soviel ich weiß, haben die Friedenssauer damit angefangen, haben wohl auch ein eigenes Studio, wo sie Videoschnitt und so weiter alles lernen. Super. Aber das betrifft mich jetzt nicht mehr, weil ich da raus bin. Gibt es jetzt irgendwo die Möglichkeit, wo ich so einen Kurs belegen kann?
Apparently Friedenssau is now doing something like that, but the question is there now something that I can do now because I'm not at Friedenssau anymore? Answer. What we as as Stimme der Hoffnung, Media Center, have done is we have created something that we call the Media Day.
One day.
It's actually 2 days, but we call it Media Day. Yeah, it's actually 2 days. It was in the past Sundays and the Monday, half of a Monday, or until 5 o'clock Monday, and that's where we are inviting young people who are working in media. But at the end, everybody could come, and we also have workshops in that. Now, if we see that the response is more and more needed and very positive, then obviously we can also invest from our side more time and say, okay, we make it maybe 3 days, 4 days, or we make it a week. But from our side, this was the step because we feel that there might be a need for that. But at the end, we don't know if it's really a need. You know, it's something that we came up with. But yeah, it's actually interesting, and it's really nice that you're saying this because I think you're the first pastor that I've met now in Germany that is saying something like this, that I would like to be more educated in media work. Is there something for us? Because so far it hasn't been pastors who came to that meeting, but it was more the young people who are already involved in it or they want to get better in it, and then they say, oh, I'm gonna come to you guys and learn more. Because they're not only getting workshops, but also strategies of how we can do things. We have really good workshops there and really good inspirational talks. And then the next one that is GAIN. That's Global Adventist Internet Networking. It was focused on internet mainly, but actually it is focusing now on media because we said you can't just limit it to one thing. It is media work. But this is kind of reserved for church workers. Pastors could be, I think, also in it. But I do believe that it's mainly targeted to the communications directors of the conferences and so on. So more on conference level as a minimum. But what I can say is give that feedback back to your conference, and then let's hope and pray that it comes back to us, and there would be more working together. Because we do believe that media, especially if we look again, I mean, let me just pop again this one page open. Yeah, let's just take this one here. If we just look at this, I think it is inevitable that we will be neck deep in media work. There is no way to escape it, because that's the society that we are in at the moment. It's happening around us, if we want it or not. And I think that we should rather go earlier inside instead of being overruled by it. Billy?
I would like to share my opinion on what my brother here just said, because I struggled with this question for a while, and I would like to set him free. I don't think that all pastors should be trained technically. I'm one of a kind. I told myself all this video and Photoshop, video editing and Photoshop, and with Mike we explored the live streaming together. We set up media ministry at Newport. I think it's better for you to find people you can work with, create a team. No one person can do everything alone. And if in your church you have a couple of guys that are skilled, create a team and work together. If you have the concept, if you have the vision, and you know exactly what you want to do, have them to help you for now. I don't think that from now on, for you to start learning these things will benefit you. I'm happy to be proven wrong, but from my past experience in the last, say, 10 years in doing media ministries, I don't think this should be something that will hinder your desire to do media ministry. Create a team with the guys in your church and move forward. And if you have time, because to learn video editing, especially if you don't have it in your DNA, is difficult. It's a nightmare. It's like learning Chinese. Trust me. Yeah. For instance, for me, to try to do something with Adobe instead of with Final Cut is really something that I'd rather not do it. And then the mission will suffer. Mission will be affected in a negative way. So what I'd like to say, try to find these kids. Because what is happening is this. Most technically inclined people, I'm not saying all, but most of them, don't see beyond the technicality, and this is cool, this is a nice font, this is a nice picture. You have the vision beyond that. So you want to give a message. You want to disseminate an idea. Yeah? Share that with them, and they will deliver for you. So this is just my personal testimony and advice to you. I'm not saying don't try to do it, but in this world where everything goes so fast and new things are happening, let them do that, and you just come with the concept, with the ideas, with the dream, with the vision, and move together as a team, because you really don't have time. I have to confess, I struggled to give up some desires I had. I need to do this animation and other stuff. I don't have the time, physical time to do it.
Thank you, Willy, for that. And I completely agree with you also on that. And you as leaders, youth pastors that are dealing with young people, you have such tremendous pool of experience at your disposal. Because these kids are, as I said, already deep in it. I mean, I don't know how many Star Wars fan videos I have watched on YouTube. And, this is something where it's a huge thing. Star Wars is a huge brand. Everybody knows it. And if you don't, then get to know it. But kids are so amazed by it, and they are taking lightsabers that they buy at Toys R Us, and then they have a fight with each other, and then they go on the computer and edit it that it looks like in the video, that it really looks like a lightsaber. And they are working on this because I know how difficult this is, and you actually have to work every single picture to draw those swords, and if you want to do it properly. But these kids, they are relentless. They are really into it. They want to do that, even if it means 2 days no sleep. And I have seen videos that are way better than any Star Wars movie so far out. And actually, even George Lucas has recognized that and has even hired some of those people. Now, how much more should we utilize those kids who have those talents, who have the knowledge, and use it for something good? I mean, I'm not saying that the Star Wars they shouldn't do it. They can still do those things. It's their fun. It's their way of relaxing also, because it's something that they enjoy. But at the same time, we can take them and say, hey, let's do also this. Let's do also some Christian videos. Let's do an animation. Let's do a cartoon. Let's do VeggieTales 2.0. If you know VeggieTales, I don't know. Yeah. Talking vegetables, telling biblical stories to children. So, let's use those tools much more, because our kids, they know already how to use it. And the hope with this Media Evangelism Academy is actually that we are educating here 6 people. Those 6 people are going back to their local churches, and hopefully they are so fired up by media work that they will continue something in their areas. That's our goal. So those pastors who are getting any of those 6 young adults that are going back, he should grab them and say, you have done this media evangelism, you want to continue something here? Let's do something. I don't know so much about it. You have been trained, I'll leave you the space. Let's work something together. But it would be also wrong to say, you do and I'm just doing my own things. You need to be together with them. You need to work together. Ideas, concept. Yes, you might not know how to edit, but it's not wrong to sit also down with them once while they edit. Sit next to them, watch over their shoulder. They enjoy it because it's also part of a community. It's a service, it's a coaching then from you to them. A couple of years ago, well actually quite a lot of years ago, when I was a young man in my church, local church in Vienna, there were only about 5 people in the youth group. The youth pastor, the youth leader, and 3 young people. And sometimes the wife of the youth pastor. Well, let's not count her because she was not young. No, I'm just kidding. But, only 3 young people. And we were given the task for the week of prayer to do something, because we were the biggest church actually in Vienna. We still are. I mean, they are. I'm not there anymore. But at that time, we were the biggest church. And the week of prayer was for whole Vienna together, for all the youth. And they said, group so-and-so from this church, you do one day and the other ones do the other days. And we had the opening actually. The opening. And we felt like, man, how should we do this? We are only 5 people. We can't do anything. I mean, officially we were 50 people on the list because, as I said, the biggest church in Vienna. So we had much more people at our disposal, but they were not coming to the youth meetings anymore. They were not even coming to church anymore. So we said, okay, well, we have all the names, we have the list, let's write them, let's call them. We wrote text messages, we called them and told them that we would like to do a video on this one particular Sunday because we are doing it for the week of prayer and we have to do the opening, and we thought of the idea of doing a video. Would you be part of it? I don't know. What time? 8 o'clock. Oh, I'm still sleeping. Sunday. All kinds of arguments came. Oh, I have to study. Yeah, right, you have to study. I believe that. All kinds of arguments. But we went in faith on that day out on that mountain in Vienna. And we said we were there at 8 o'clock with our little camera that we had at our disposal. Actually, 2 cameras at our disposal. And we said, let's see. If it is just us 5, then it is just us 5. We had a script. We had an idea. And we were there. And shortly, minutes by minutes, the group increased and increased and increased. And at the end, we were 25 people. 25 people. So 20 people were reactivated and came back because I believe that part of them thought, movie? That's cool. I want to be part of it. Even if it is just my face on the camera. I think that was a part of an ego thing. And I think we use that. And I think it's good to use that. So at the end of the day, we did that. We recorded everything and then we edited it. We had no editors. We had no experience in this at all. I was using Adobe Premiere 1.0. If that means anything to you. So very, very long time ago. Adobe Premiere 1.0. And the pastor, the young adult, the youth pastor, he was sitting next to me for a whole week, every evening, from 6 o'clock in the evening until 10 o'clock in the evening. And we were editing together. Because he had the vision, he knew what he wanted, but he had no expertise whatsoever. I was just a young guy who never edited anything before, but I wanted to. And I got into it. And we did it together. And on the last day, an hour before we had to go to the meeting to do the opening, we finished the video. Because my dad had the idea to have a 3D animation as well. And that just finished the rendering just an hour before. So we had this whole thing together and we went there and 30 people from the youth came, from our group, came to that one day because they wanted to see the opening. So those 20 who were part of the movie, they all came and they brought even 5 extra people with them. And our group, over the next few months, increased to up to 40, 45. Just because of this one event. We never did a video ever again. We never did anything media-wise ever again. But it was the tool to get them involved into the group. It was the tool to make something with them, and they enjoyed it so much. So I believe if that worked 15 years, 18 years ago in Vienna, it will still work today. And I think that we, as I gave the quote, it's not a question of whether we should use media, but I would say we should have used it already yesterday. Any more questions? The other groups have also asked, well, that's nice and good, Mike, that you guys doing it, but that's Germany. What do we get from France, from Italy, from it? Well, there are at the moment talks, and our wish is actually to expand this program. It was like a small project that we are doing now with Germany, but we would like to increase it and say we will be doing a European version of this, where the European countries have a chance to send us 2 young people, and they are staying 1 year with us, and we are doing media work with them together. So, yeah, I mean, we need to talk to our leaders and hope and pray that these things are working out, but it is definitely something we should be more involved. Media is all around us. To not use it is actually, in my opinion, fatal. Yes, I didn't want to say stupid, but yes, fatal. No, it's fine. Because, I mean, just look at it. Well, was it the next one? Yeah, I think it was the next one. Somebody has said to me in the other group, Mike, should we even be on Facebook? Because I said that I think every church, every local church should be on Facebook. And at least posting something once a week. And that is possible. And even if it is, I hope to see you on coming Sabbath. Happy Sabbath. Something like that. It is possible. And somebody has asked the question, should we even be on Facebook? I mean, it's so much work and blah, blah, blah. And look at this. 41,000 comments, I think it says. Oh no, this says actually something even more interesting. 41,000 posts every second. 41,000 posts every second. 1.8 million likes in 60 seconds. Do I still need to ask the question if we should be on Facebook as a church? I think the numbers speak for themselves. So if you're not yet on Facebook, I challenge you, the first thing to do when you're back home, get your church on Facebook and post things. Because there are 41,000 posts happening every second. People are active on that platform. Thank you very much for your patience and for your interest, and I wish you
Another one, please.
I wish you all the best in your ministry, and I do hope that you will get motivated by this and start embracing media work in your local work. Thank you. Do I need to?
I'm doing this in German, so